been saying is you think that the Ethereum network or market cap is going to flip with Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is at about, what is it, 2.4 trillion now, somewhere around there. And Ethereum is 540 billion. You think there is a flippening, as they might say. I'd love to hear you talk about it, but just to set this up, anyone who's listening to this podcast knows that we have in 2030 a forecast of the entire crypto asset ecosystem. And of course, we're going to be modifying this with time. We're doing our big ideas work now. But as of our last go at this, the ecosystem we expect to hit $25 trillion in 2030. The vast majority of that in Bitcoin, mostly because we look at Bitcoin as a global monetary system, rules based that we've been missing since the U.S. went off the gold exchange standard in 1971. That's a very big idea. It's a technology, obviously, and it is the first of its kind. And we wrote a paper in 2016 on this, first of its kind in a new asset class. So those are three very big ideas. I'd love to hear your thoughts on why ETH or the ecosystem will surpass Bitcoin.
Okay. Well, if I could rewind a little bit to 1971, in our chairman's message last month, we addressed how gold versus Wall Street grew post 1971. So 1971 was when Nixon formally withdrew the U.S. from the gold standard. The immediate beneficiary was there was demand and a market to own gold. And so people would say that was your, first implication. But what we wrote about and talked about in our message was that in 1971, the dollar became fully synthetic because it was no longer backed by anything. And so there was risk that the world would go off the dollar standard. So in stepped Wall Street to create products to propagate the future of Wall Street, including, and we listed, I think, 14 products that emerged over the next decade, from money market funds to credit to mortgage-backed securities to futures, etc. And dollar dominance by the end of that period went from 27% of GDP terms, but to 57% of central bank reserves and 80% of financial transaction quotes. So Wall Street created products that made the dollar dominant, and the market cap of equities today is 40 trillion compared to 2 trillion for gold. So in other words, gold is 5% of all available assets. And so in 2025, we think everything is now becoming synthetic tokenized, not synthetic. So as we move not just dollars onto the blockchain, which is stablecoins, but we'll move stocks and real estate, dollar dominance is going to be the opportunity of Ethereum. So digital gold is Bitcoin. And so in that world, we believe Ethereum could flip Bitcoin, similar to how Wall Street and equities flipped gold post 71. Now, that is just our working theory, because I am still a Bitcoin bull. So I'm very bullish on Bitcoin, and I believe your targets for Bitcoin are actually reachable. So we think Bitcoin fair value should at least be 1.5 to 2.1 million, but we can see higher values. But that would, of course, provide upside to a neutral smart contract platform where a lot of Wall Street will innovate of real world assets.